Mere Conservatism.
You have a great Thanksgiving?
Yeah, so lots and lots of family.
No indigestion?
And enjoy it. No.
Good.
No. My mother has nailed the turkey every year as long as I can remember. It is always perfect. I mean, I'm telling you, it's moist.
Yeah.
It is the perfect temperature. It's everything is perfect about it.
That's David Perry. I'm Cleve Walker. Forgot to mention that. Always do at the beginning of our broadcast. And this is Mere Conservatism. David, you and I have made no bones about this, that we are conservatives, but we are conservatives only because of our faith, and the conservative values more closely align with our Christian faith. So for us, that's kind of like first.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So therefore, this big court case, which, by the way, I'm so happy, my home state of Mississippi, I was born and raised in Mississippi, is the one that's being used to bring it to the fore.
Right, yeah. So Mississippi has this 15-week abortion ban.
Right.
Which is controversial in some ways because it's 15 weeks is pre-viability.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
So right now,
that's the big argument.
Right now, the standard is you can basically limit abortion up until the fetus is considered unviable.
Right.
That's kind of the idea right now. But there's heartbeat bills coming out in Georgia and Texas and different places, and this Mississippi bill happens to be the one that is featured in the current Supreme Court case, and that it is a specific 15-week abortion ban. Now, I will say, Cleve, you and I have discussed abortion a good bit on this program over the last, how long we've been doing this, 15 years, something like that?
At least.
15 years, goodness. We've discussed it quite a bit. I don't think abortion is okay in any circumstance.
Right.
I don't think it's okay.
In other
I don't
words,
think it's a good thing.
You're truly pro-life.
No exceptions.
Yeah,
and I mean, like for rape, incest, that's usually what everybody always says the exceptions are. I don't think it's okay in those circumstances either. I don't think it's okay before 15 weeks.
Right.
However, if we could get a 15-week abortion ban, many, many, many lives would be saved, and I would take that.
I was talking with somebody recently, and they're pro-life, but they took a slightly different tact than what you took on it. They said we should not support anything that's not an absolute overthrow of Roe v. Wade to the extent that abortion is criminalized. And that's the only thing that they can, in good conscience, as a Christian, get behind. But I'm hearing you saying this. That's your stance, too, that we should, that life begins at conception. That's your stance. But where I agree with you and where he didn't agree is that I agree with you that, hey, no, this is not going to save all the babies that are being turned over to this horrible thing we call abortion, but it could save some. And that might sound too pragmatic, but it's a fact. If I can't save them all, I want to at least save some.
Yeah, I think that's what you have to do. Again, not justifying and saying that you think that before 15 weeks an abortion is okay. That's not what you're saying. If I was in Congress or if I was in the Mississippi State House or whatever, I would certainly vote for a 15-week abortion ban. Yes, I would. I would vote for any type of limit on abortion, no matter what it was, just because any limit on that is going to save somebody's life, and that's what I would be trying to do.
Yeah. So again, we're excited about it because I don't know if you've been listening to any of the oral arguments.
I've heard some stuff. I don't sit and watch C-SPAN, but I sleep okay already, so I don't have to do that. But I do listen to excerpts of the audio and hearing some of the arguments. Mostly the questioning this week was interesting. It's always interesting to listen to what the justices ask the attorneys, basically, who are, for lack of a better word, prosecuting the case or bringing the case. And a lot of people try to make inferences about how the justices will vote based on their questioning. And I don't know if it's always a good idea to do that. What do you think?
No, well, it has proven to turn around and bite you when you do that, because many are questioning in a way like they're for it, only to find out their decision is totally the opposite. But the questions are instructive to me.
Yeah.
I was listening to, what's her name, the Hispanic...
Sotomayor.
And her questions, the ones I heard, all indicate what I knew she believed, and that is that the Constitution is a living fluid document and not something that can be ensconced in its history.
Yeah, we may as well not even have it.
Right.
If that's the case.
And I got that from her questioning. That
she's the one that said that feeling pain doesn't indicate life. What? Okay.
I'm serious. So we know that's a no vote. I mean, we know that.
Yeah.
The big question is,
she's an activist. I mean,
Right.
that's what she's there to do.
Yeah.
She's a left-wing activist.
as is Breyer and the two other very liberal.
The ice cream guy?
Anyhow, so my point is, who do you think it hangs on? I just want your opinion. As far as you know about
You mean
the
who's
justice.
the swing vote?
Yes.
If there is one?
Who's the one that will decide it one way or the other? Because I might have a different take on this.
I think it's Kavanaugh.
Really? I've heard some others say that. Why do you say that?
Well, I believe that there are three that I'm pretty convinced are going to vote to overturn Roe or
at least
limit. There's really
uphold the law.
Yeah, there's really two cases that are in question. Roe v. Wade is one of them, and the other one is the Planned Parenthood versus Casey decision. That's in the weeds just a little bit. And there's a lot of different things that they could do with this decision. But basically, to uphold the Mississippi law, I think there's three pretty sure ones, which is Thomas, Alito, and Gorsuch.
Definitely. I would agree. I would be very shocked.
I think the one that I'm pretty sure would vote to uphold it, but we just don't have a big record on is Barrett, Amy Coney Barrett.
Yeah.
I would expect her to vote to uphold the law, though. So
I do. That
leaves Justice Roberts,
Yeah.
who Justice Roberts is useless. He's a useless person. He's not gonna. He wouldn't do anything, I don't believe, to rock the boat in any way.
Yeah.
I think it's possible that he might open the door for more limits on abortion than there are now in a lot of places, but I wouldn't count on that. So I think Kavanaugh is kind of the wild card. Because you need five. Basically, you need five.
Yeah, we're in agreement. I think that Roberts has shown that his concern usually comes down to making sure the court doesn't seem to be in any way imprinting itself.
Yeah, which is, by the way, totally backfired because everything he does.
Yeah. He gave us Obamacare.
Yeah, he's awful. He's the worst, and his apparent goal is to not rock the boat and not overturn controversial laws, because I guess he doesn't want to insert the Supreme Court into these things. But you're doing the opposite. When you make bad decisions, you do the opposite of what
he is so concerned about observing what he calls the balance of powers between the different branches and not one dominating the other, that he literally is allowing one to dominate the other with his way of thinking.
Yes.
So you're right. But it's exciting, and I'm going to make one statement on it before we go to our next subject. This is important to me because, again, I think if there's ever been an issue that shows our nation's moral fiber or character or lack thereof, it would be this. And I believe in my heart of heart, David, if this goes sideways, if this goes south, if there's nothing to show from this, I would say that's a sign of our impending fall as a nation.
I kind of agree with you. I mean, this is the moment.
Yeah.
We have almost a whole culture on the religious right, if you think about it, that has to do with the judiciary and having Christians working in the judiciary to influence cases like this. I mean, you have Alliance Defending Freedom and all these different religious-based organizations that their whole mission is to be involved in cases like this, to move the ball on issues that are important to the religious right, for lack of a better term. I mean, I would just say what's right, and what godly things that Christians care about, things like life, like the sanctity of life, and Alliance Defending Freedom has had some good things. I mean, they've done a lot of good things, but this is the one. This is the issue. I mean, I would venture to say that the abortion issue is the reason that a lot of these organizations exist.
Yeah,
and they've done a lot of work. They've done a lot of good work over the years on this issue, and the fact that we have moved the ball to the point where you've got states that are passing heartbeat laws and stuff like that is a sign that things are moving in the right direction. But this is the Super Bowl. I mean, this is basically the national championship. Georgia versus whatever poor team has to play them this year. I shouldn't say that.
I think you're right. I don't believe in jinxes, but
my point is, this is the ball game. This is it.
I got you.
This is the moment. So if you lose this, and the Mississippi law is overturned, what have we been doing?
Well, I'll tell you, and there are actually Christians who don't see pro-life as the number one issue. They give it a nod and a wink that, yeah, it's important, but there are other things that we have to. But the reason why I agree with you, this is so pivotal, is because once you allow life to be cheapened, whether it's at this level or in some cases at the level where people want to euthanize folks who don't have any reason to go on living because of abnormalities they're born with, whatever. Once you start doing that, then you see what we're seeing right now. We're seeing, to me, I'm seeing such a coarsening and cheapening of life. The mass shootings and everything that's going on, all the violence, those are exact repercussions of a nation that has lost its moorings into the intrinsic divine value of human life. Once you let that go, David, that's only one direction you can go.
You're right, and there's so much that feeds into that, Cleve. There's so many things that are going on these days that philosophically these issues kind of go together. Think about the issue we're dealing with right now when it comes to the difference between men and women, and how there is no man and there is no woman, and you can be a woman, and your body parts don't make you your sex or your gender or whatever. Sex and gender are mixed up, and perception is reality. And you've got part of the reason abortion has become so important to the left is because the lines have been blurred between men and women.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole thing, really even in the 70s, the push for abortion by feminists and things like that was so that women could be freed, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And they're not. This doesn't free anybody, but they could be freed to be more like men, no longer bound by the biological reality that they may become pregnant and bear it and become a mother.
Right.
Men, they become fathers, but they don't physically bear that.
Yeah.
And so this, if you think about it, abortion is a gateway for women, for feminists to do away with the thing that makes them a woman.
Right. And you know something, it's funny you bring it up.
It gets pretty deep philosophically, but when you think about how all these things tie together, the transgender movement, they have to have abortion. They have to have it.
Well, and only that, but it dovetails in the so-called social justice movement as well. Because for them, social justice is now something where you get a chance to do payback towards those who have victimized you. Whereas justice, in its purest sense, is making sure that the innocent are not condemned and that the guilty are not freed. And in the case of abortion, you're killing the most innocent life there is. I mean, and even the argument, David, I hear it all the time. Well, what about rapes? You can't ask a child, you can't ask a person to carry a child born of rape. And my point of that is, I think that rapists should be punished to the harshest extent of the law. I actually believe almost capital punishment, but that's another story. Okay, but my point is, why would you kill the child for the actions of an adult?
Yeah.
That was not the child's actions.
It's when somebody brings that up, obviously it's a tragic
it's terrible.
situation,
Nobody's denying that,
and something you can't think of something much worse than that. But think about the fact that you now have a life that exists. Right. A life exists. It had nothing to do with that terrible thing that happened.
Well, only to the extent that conception came.
No responsibility.
But it did not. That child did not perpetrate a crime. That child did not act out on a violent crime. That child had nothing to do with the choices of the person involved.
And that's why the question is
that's
always
injustice. Yeah.
The question is always. I think I heard a quote from Roberts, who during the questioning yesterday, that was saying that the question before them, the most important question before them, is 15 weeks because that was the subject of the law, and it's really not. I mean, when you talk about abortion, the only question that matters is the unborn person, is the unborn baby a person?
Yeah.
or not? That's the only question, because your answer to that question then logically follows everything else that comes after that. And so you ask yourself, as a baby conceived in rape, is it a person?
Yeah. And see, here's the thing. Even if you go with the argument of viability, that's the big bugaboo. Science, real science, this is where real science comes in, has now rendered that argument moot, because stages that we thought were not viable are viable now.
That's a moving target. The point is, that's a moving target.
Right.
So if that's your target, then that's not a good standard, because it changes,
or at least
changed a lot.
At the very least, you can't hold it as to where it was at the time of that enactment, because we've shown now. I mean, they had 2 babies born recently who were just ounces in their birth weight and survived because of modern technology. And then, of course, with the way to actually look into the womb and see with high definition detail that's a child at see it so well at very early stages. So my point is, even viability is being debunked by science itself, or at least shown it's not reliable. So anyway, pretty excited about this, praying hard about this, praying for the lawyers who, by the way, I've been listening to the lawyers on our side of this issue, and they sound pretty good.
I'm glad that you're excited, Cleve. I am not excited.
Uh-oh. Why?
I'm just nervous about it, because I just don't know. I mean, I haven't figured out what the result is going to be. I don't feel like I'm...
Well, I'm excited for 2 reasons. Number one, I was very cynical. I didn't think we'd get this opportunity again. I really didn't. I hate to say it, but I thought it's over with. It's a done deal. We won't have any cases they're going to allow to rise before the court. Yeah. So I'm seeing something I didn't see would happen. I think would happen.
Well, that's
so
good.
I'm excited about that. But the other reason I'm excited is because no matter what, this is what we've got to do. We got to fight in the best way we can. So I'm excited about that.
Well, and let me just say, too, shout out to the legislators and governors of states like Mississippi in this case. There are other states who've done this. Georgia, Texas,
South Carolina.
South Carolina, I think Kansas had one.
Yes.
My point is, thank you.
Yeah.
Because that's where it starts.
Yeah.
You
the
have
fight
to
has
that.
to be there. We don't have any friends in high places now in D.C. Okay, we've got a pro-death administration, and in a way that I haven't seen this in a long time. That, I mean, they literally are against everything you believe as a pro-life person, and they're doing their best to make sure that we lose.
Yeah.
So I'm just excited because there's a fight going on. We're in it. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I'm believing for the best because I'm just optimistic. Sometimes.
That's good.
All right. So anyway, we'll see.
Well, I think that there's going to be, this is one of those things that no matter the decision, there's likely to be kind of an outcry.
Yes.
What happens. I mean, there is a possibility that we come up with some kind of middle of the road kind of decision.
The best thing,
they may find a way to do that, but I hope not.
The best thing would be overthrowing Roe v. Wade. Okay, there's no doubt about that. That would be the crowning pinnacle for it. But if we can come away with something where we have at least given states the right to be the arbiter of this and not the federal government, that's a vast difference. I mean, because the states, that it should have been at this level anyway. It should never have risen to the level of the federal government being able to get involved in it.
By the way, it's really funny to me, some of the liberal comments that you see on Twitter and stuff. Just the things that come to mind are people that want to move out of the country if Roe v. Wade is overturned, which I want to tell them, first of all, the United States right now is much more liberal on abortion than a lot of places you could move.
That's been coming out.
There are a lot of countries that are much more strict on abortion. Not only that, but you do realize that if Roe is overturned, this is an issue that returns to the states. Mm-hmm. So why are you moving out of the country? Why don't you just move to California?
Right, because you always have the Californians and New Yorks in that case, and you can go there and do whatever you want. So
which is not okay, but that's going to be the case. Roe v. Wade is not going to outlaw abortion federally. No. It's not. That's not the situation. It's going to return it to a situation where states are able to make those laws the way they see fit. So you're going to have in Georgia, you're going to have a heartbeat law, and in New York, you're going to be able to abort up to 5 years old.
Right. Right,
and I'm kind of half joking on that, but
I'm not joking when I say if you move because of Roe v. Wade being overturned, bye. I mean, to me,
please.
That's a plus.
Why don't you just go now? I mean, seriously,
that's a plus. Now, something else I want to throw at you about this: another a federal court decision limiting the mandate. came out. I think federal appeals court out of Louisiana or some such. That basically said you cannot mandate healthcare workers to take the vaccine.
It's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
And this is one of those things where I think about all the healthcare workers who have already been vaccinated because they were already forced to.
Right. Think about that.
And now they
got, to me, depending on how things turn out, they may have some civil standing.
Maybe.
To me. I mean, if I took it because I felt coerced and forced, and then found out later on that this mandate was overturned.
It turns out they weren't allowed to do that.
Right. Oh. That it was unconstitutional. Hey, I'm not normally a litigious guy. I think we have too much lawsuits and litigation going on. But I believe in some cases you need to sue. I believe Rittenhouse needs to sue. I think it's the right thing to do. And in this case, I think a lot of folks are going to have some standing for some.
They might. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. But they're not backing down. I mean, there are countries all over the place that are shutting down now because
Australia,
of Omicron.
Australia. I mean, I always thought of Australia as being a rugged country with rugged individualists, and that government over there, David, has just clamped them down.
It's sad. I think I heard that in Germany they're also doing. They're locking people down who haven't been vaccinated, I think is what they're doing. Anyway, Omicron, Cleve, is in the news. It's not too serious.
No.
Based on what they're saying. I mean, it's mild symptoms. It's just another one of those things where people are losing their minds over this, and I don't know when it's going to stop. I really don't.
If the Democrats stay in power, it doesn't stop. They need it. They need this. I tell people all the time.
But this country is one thing. I'm thinking about everywhere in the world where they're going crazy too. But yeah, I mean, even in the United States, the difference between a blue state and a red state right now is drastic. You and I live in Georgia and South Carolina. Georgia's been basically normal since like May 2020.
Mm-hmm. True. No, that's true.
So since before the vaccines and all that stuff. So I look around and I'm like, what is everybody? I mean, what? We've had our surges and stuff like that.
But you know what it's about. Again, this is about control.
Yeah.
And I said a long time ago, I was so glad that Hillary Clinton was not president when the virus first made its encroachment. We would still be on solid lockdown in this country. But my point is, they cannot miss an opportunity to use this to gain control over the populace. And I don't want to insult anybody, David. But the only reason that you're, to me, a person is still double masking or driving around with a mask on inside the car or ready to get a third, maybe even a fourth booster if they call for it, the only reason right now is not science. It is fear. And this administration and this progressive party, they have been just simply turning on the fear buttons.
Yeah, I would say that without knowing a person's specific situation, I'd want to know that before making a determination like this. But if you're double masking and you're living in fear and you're locked down and you're still ordering food out all the time and not letting your kids go outside, you're being absolutely irrational.
Mm-hmm. It is. And actually, I know you're not insulting them.
You've been like that for if you've been doing that even for like any of this year, basically, you're being quite irrational. So I'm sorry, but it's been over for a long time as far as the government's response to the. But
they cannot let it go. Again, the government, Biden, those folks, they cannot let it go. This is too great an opportunity. They cannot let anything, quote unquote, called a crisis go to waste.
But these vaccine mandates being struck down in our country is great news.
What a great sign!
And it is, you hope that some sanity returns. At some point.
Let me ask you this. This is what I think people are scared about. If Biden uses this Omicron as another opportunity to try to come back to lockdowns, now he said he won't.
Well, he's already banned Africans.
Yeah, but I'm probably well, that's another story for another time. But he's already said he won't do anything like another lockdown or a call for states to do that. But he's lied before. So when I hear him say that, I'm saying that means literally nothing. But I think if he were to do that, I think we would have a real rebellion.
Yeah, not only that, but how about just no? Because there are plenty of states where we just don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, he can say whatever he wants to. Like I said, Georgia's been normal since May 2020. It's been over for quite a while as far as that kind of draconian response. Just no. I mean,
Georgia was so far ahead of the curve that even when President Trump was in office, he said, I think Kemp may be going too fast. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you're right. Your state was in the forefront and came out looking good to me.
And then you got states like Florida that never really shut down completely.
Right.
And they're doing fine. Look, if the United States government ever tried to do something like the Australian governments are doing, there would be it would make what's happening in Australia look like a cakewalk.
What will help
in the United States, that it wouldn't work that way. Now, Australia has local governments that are, states, so to speak, that are doing different things, and they're limiting travel in between. And they have states kind of like we have.
Right.
They do that. I know in Germany as well. I have family that are from there. And they talk about how the different states, quote unquote, in Germany have different rules, and they're kind of mandating those and enforcing them. But in the United States, if they tried to do anything similar to what they're doing in Australia, I can tell you it would never work in a million years.
I agree.
Because there are places that would do it in New York and California and Vermont or wherever. Georgia would never do it.
No. And
South Carolina certainly wouldn't do it.
I agree. And
that's some crazy people up there.
And under DeSantis,
y'all are crazy.
Florida wouldn't do it,
No, Florida wouldn't do it. Texas, some places in Texas might do it, but mostly Texas wouldn't do it. But I'm telling you, folks, if you're listening outside of the South, you don't know about South Carolina, there's some nutty people in South Carolina. They will.
As a proud South Carolinian, I say, get thee behind me.
They do crazy stuff.
All right.
You think Texas has an independent street? Come to South Carolina.
Okay.
Seriously.
All right.
Y'all are nuts.
All right. I take your point. Point taken. David, if they will, if folks would like to hear this entire discussion again, they can.
Yeah, check it out on Apple Podcasts. You can find it on YouTube under MereCon Media. You can find it on Facebook as well on our MereConservatism Facebook page.
And the fight's not over with yet. Keep the faith. We just take it one step at a time. For Cleve Walker and David Perry, thank you for joining us. MereConservatism. Have a fantastic day.